Hey everyone, this is Carl Valeri with the 2009 live showcase here at DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase, and I'm here with Greg Ellsworth here at Aviation Insurance Resources. Hey Greg, welcome.
Thank you.
You know, this is actually a really great show. This is my first year here, and it is one of those really neat places where you get up close and personal with a lot of the folks that are here that are your customers, and people that are very passionate about aviation. It's very purposeful. Just before we talk about insurance, how are you liking the show so far?
Very good. Of course, yesterday was the first day and very busy day, so we're hoping for more traffic today.
You know, Aviation Insurance Resources, as some of you know from the Stuck Mike Avcast and have listened to me there, is Victoria Newville, who's with you folks, is a real advocate of aviation and also insurance. The one thing that's really cool, if I can make a plug for you folks, is that you're all very much involved in aviation. I think the majority are pilots?
Yeah, we're all at least private pilots or better.
Okay. So that helps you when you're speaking our language, and that's the language of being a pilot. So you've been able to help me in the past with insurance. You've been able to help a lot of folks. So let's go over the type of insurance that you have, and then we'll talk a little bit about the industry.
Yeah, well, we've been in business over 20 years now, and we're a aviation specialist. We specialize in all types of aviation insurance, and we write all types from the small experimental piston aircraft to large corporate aircraft. We insure also flying clubs, flight schools, maintenance shops, even workers' comp for aviation businesses. And this year we've gotten into the balloon business. We've specialized in hot air balloons as well.
Awesome. You know, we're at an air show that's billed as the Affordable Aircraft Show, you know, DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase. One of the more important things when I'm looking at an aircraft is insurance, because it is a big piece of the pie as far as the costs are concerned. Let's talk a little bit about that. I think as one that actually buys insurance, it seems that rates might be changing a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening in the industry?
Yeah, this is January 1 this year. We've noticed a big change in both the premiums and the underwriting. If I can give you a little bit of history, the last 8 to 10 years, the insurance market has probably experienced the lowest premiums. We've had a lot of companies enter the market over that time period. And of course, anytime a new company would enter the market, they would come in with lower premiums. That would drive premiums down. And of course, as claims increase and there's low premiums, something's got to give. So we've had several companies that have entered the market in that time period have left the market. So we have fewer insurance companies now. Underwriters need to improve their bottom line, like any business needs to, and so that's forcing premiums up. And also, they're tightening their underwriting to try to mitigate their claims too.
So as someone that's out there with the pilot, helping the pilot and the owner of the aircraft get insured, how do you help them? I mean, how do you help them in this type of environment?
Well, us as a broker, we're appointed by all the major insurance carriers. So one of our job is to check all the companies that will quote that particular risk. And so that's our biggest job. And then also we help pilots that are thinking about buying an airplane, kind of help them understand what areas to avoid, what other areas that they should maybe look at. For example, student pilots who want to build an airplane. My recommendation is if they're getting into an experimental aircraft that they better get their sport pilot license if it's a sport aircraft, light sport aircraft, or their private license first before getting into an experimental aircraft.
So going back to that whole building, is there some insurance that I'll need if I'm new to the world of building while I'm actually building the aircraft?
There sure is, and we look at it from two perspectives. One is what's the time frame of completing that project? If the project is already in construction and it may be less than a year, maybe just a couple months out before they're ready to start test flying, we'll write it on a regular aircraft policy, just start them off with ground-only coverage. But if it's going to be a project that's going to be 12 months or longer, we have what's called a builder's risk policy, and that is just insurance to protect their investment while they're building, and it also provides some liability coverage too.
So, one of the things you have to have while you're building an aircraft is an aircraft to fly. And, while I'm building my aircraft, of course, I'm going to be probably renting an aircraft too. Do I need to get insurance if I'm out there renting an aircraft?
I would advise you that you should.
Why is that?
Not just as an insurance agent, but everyone's excited to get into an airplane and go flying, and they don't think of the potential problems that could happen. So we do have non-owned aircraft insurance policies, whether you're renting from a flight school or maybe a friend says, hey, take my airplane out flying. While you're flying that aircraft, you're responsible for not only the damage that may occur to it while you're flying it, but also liability, bodily injury and property damage that you could cause as a result of an accident.
So I'm actually going to be liable for that. So I need to be careful and make sure I do have renter's insurance.
That's right. Yeah, if you have a hard landing and lose control on landing, veer off the runway onto a ramp and hit another airplane, that's a property damage claim. And, if there's persons on the ramp that you could possibly hit, that's a bodily injury claim. So you need that liability insurance to protect you for those types of incidents.
So if I go to a flight school and someone tells me at the flight school that I need to get my own insurance, what do they mean by that?
What they're meaning is you should get your own non-owned aircraft insurance policy. And the thing is, if you're renting an airplane, there's typically a rental agreement, and that rental agreement may specify what coverage limits they want you to carry. If it's silent, if the rental agreement is silent with respect to insurance, then you better purchase a non-owned policy with limits that you're personally comfortable with.
What's really cool about this show is we have so many people here that are excited about aviation that are airline pilots. Many of them have flight instructor certificates. And, to pay it forward, they want to teach people how to fly. And a question that I get often, I'm going to ask you, is do I need insurance if I'm going to have a friend's airplane and I'm going to teach them how to fly in that airplane or get them a rating? Is there any type of insurance I need?
Yeah, again, it's the non-owned aircraft policy, which is endorsed to add CFI coverage. Okay. And we have two types of CFI non-owner policies. One is, I'll just call it a regular CFI non-owner, but there's also an organization out there called SAFE, and so we've designed a program for SAFE CFIs.
SAFE is the Society of Aviation and Flight Educators, an incredible organization, many different resources. One of them is partnering with you folks at Aviation Insurance Resources as far as getting insurance, and there's some discounts too if they actually become a master CFI is one, but also become a member of SAFE. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And also, in addition to the discounts, it adds some other coverage features. For example, it'll add multi-engine aircraft and seaplanes as well.
So I highly recommend all my friends that I know you love teaching people how to fly is get some insurance. If you're out there an airline pilot, get out there and look at the folks at Aviation Insurance Resources. To find them on the internet, it's really easy. It's air-pros.com, air-pros.com. And the other cool thing about Aviation Insurance Resources, if you don't mind me plugging, is the fact when you call, they actually have a person that answers and will answer your questions. You mentioned another thing about being here and looking at aircraft. You can call up and get an estimate on a type of aircraft, even if you don't have an N number. You're just trying to go out there and shop and trying to figure out the cost?
Yeah, we can quote an aircraft based on the year, make, model, and the insured value. That's not a problem. We do not need a specific N number. So if you're interested, give us a call and we'll help you out.
What other type of aircraft? I know general aviation, multi-engine. Where do you go? From what range to range? I know you said balloons. Anything larger?
Corporate jets, turbine props. We don't get into Part 121 operations, but Part 135 operations we insure. So yeah, sky's the limit.
Sky is the limit. A lot of folks don't realize when they change their operation too, like you said with a 135. There's a lot of folks out there that think, oh, gee, I could just start a 135. I think they need to really look into a lot of things other than I know the legal part, but also the insurance. That's going to change a few things, isn't it?
Yes, it will, because there are two different policy forms. If you own your own airplane and flying it for your own personal, non-commercial use, but then you decide, well, I got my commercial ticket and I want to start doing some, charter work. That's a different policy form, and if you try to do that under your non-commercial policy, that use would violate the use under the non-commercial policy. And if there's an accident, the underwriter could deny a claim. So you need to make sure that your policy addresses the uses that you plan on using the aircraft for.
So for those listening and looking towards insurance, what areas do you cover? Is the United States, like our friends in Alaska, et cetera, will they be able to go to you for insurance?
Yeah, so we specifically, work with clients that are based in the U.S. and N-numbered, but if you have an N-numbered aircraft and it's based outside the U.S., we can probably still get that done. It just depends.
So the light sport, and one cool thing is a lot of other countries are allowing light sports to fly into, say, the Bahamas. If I'm looking for insurance, I have to take that under consideration, don't I, if I'm flying out of the country?
Yes, you should, because the policy has a defined policy territory. Typically, they include Canada, U.S., and Mexico. Most of them include Bahamas, but some don't. So it depends on how it was underwritten. So if you're flying outside the U.S., give your agent a call, give us a call, and we'll help you.
Most importantly, call them before you leave.
That's right.
Before you land in the Bahamas or Mexico or somewhere outside the United States, because you've heard those horror stories, haven't you?
That's right. Yeah. Give us a call first. It's always best.
Anything else about aviation insurance resources we need to know that we didn't cover here, other than the fact that you guys are really, really friendly?
No, I can't think of any right now.
All right, cool. To find them, it's air-pros.com, aviation insurance resources. Obviously, if you listen to our other podcast, Stuck Mike Avcast, Victoria Newville is somebody else you can speak to. Here in Florida, they have a local agent. I think it's Joe Kacha. He will actually give you a call back if you're, and of course, it's a mecca of aviation here, but anywhere else in the United States. And you're at all the different shows. And this one I think you really like. I think we talked offline a little bit. If you're thinking about coming here to the DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase, the cool thing is you're up close and personal, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. And, for a person that's looking, considering buying one of these types of aircraft, it's a great venue. If you're really interested, you have dealers out here that are willing to give you demo flights. And that's something that's hard to do at a big show like Oshkosh. Yeah. But here it's great. You have time. You can talk to us. You can talk to any other vendors. You can even get a demo flight if you're interested. It's a perfect showcase for that.
Well, thanks for that segue. I think it really is a perfect showcase here at DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase 2019. I'm with Greg Ellsworth. Thanks so much for talking to us about insurance. Again, air-pros.com. They can talk to you or any of the other agents, correct?
That's right. And our phone number, 301-682-6200.
Awesome. Hey, it's interesting here at the DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase. One of the things I love is being able to see old friends and talk insurance and everything aviation. We talk aircraft builds, we talk about propellers, we talk about tires, everything. But one thing in common is this aviation world, and all of us love it. It's just such a wonderful community, and this DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase shows that. It's a small community, but it's rather large because of the internet. That's for sure. So thanks again. One of the things I want you guys to do is remember the folks that are also behind the camera, and Mike Daniels, Elizabeth Daniels, just knocking it out of the park. Elizabeth doing the social media here for the DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase, and Mike Daniels. Tom Frick, who's also a big part of the team, and the guy who's running the show too is Dave Schalbetter. Also, someone else we'll see, and I think we had him on yesterday, is Roy Brewer. Love to hear some of your comments back on what you think about the DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase live. So at the bottom of this, please comment, hit the like button, and let us know, do you want us to keep doing this in progressive years? I'll tell you what, I'm having a lot of fun. Anyway, Carl Valeri here reporting for the 2019 DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase right here at Show Center with Aviation Insurance Resources.